Let's go.
That was way too aggressive.
You're going to get a lot of love. I mean, you're in a British team. You couldn't get a more British team than Williams, could you? You were born when I was racing Michael Schumacher in '94, and you were born when I won the championship in '96.
Good year.
So. We're very lucky in this country to have, the summer of sport. It includes Wimbledon and Ascot and obviously Lord's cricket and then the British Grand Prix right in there. It's a big event. That gets very messy, by the way.
Just dip it.
So you're a cream first person. There's a big debate.
There's a big debate.
Oh,
it's like the
huge.
tortilla
It's like,
española, the tortilla. It's with onion or without onion.
We only put the jam on top of it. Or you can have it the other way around.
So you would go cream first or jam first?
Personally, I'm a cream first and jam.
I honestly think jam first is possibly psychopathic.
Yeah. Why would you put jam
on?
But apparently other people do it.
It's really good.
I want one.
I'm going to leave my glasses on because I can't read the questions otherwise.
Scones.
Scones.
Cricket. Perfect atmosphere for our British
Where's
Grand Prix podcast.
Okay,
Let's start with a smack, no?
I'll start the sentence and then you smack it.
Is that going to go everywhere?
Yes,
We don't know.
for
It's
sure.
gonna go
What's
everywhere.
it made of?
But judging by your performance, make sure you actually hit the ball this time.
Okay. I did hit it.
Okay. Hey everyone, we're in Britain for episode 5 of Team Talk, presented by Atlassian. We're here at Lord's Cricket Ground.
Let's go.
That was way too aggressive.
No, it was perfect.
Chocolates.
Yeah, that's
What do you think, Damon?
comprehensively.
Oh.
Not supposed, the ball's not supposed to do that.
They're
but,
quite hard.
This is a chocolate one.
They've been in the fridge. Leading up to the home Grand Prix, we're celebrating British icons. I shouldn't be doing this with chocolate in my mouth, it's extremely rude. But here we are, Damon Hill. Lovely to meet you, see you. How are you?
And you guys?
Well, we're okay. We're
Yeah.
we're in the middle of a busy start to the weekend.
We need to get back, getting into those points. We've
Yeah.
been slagging a bit.
How has it been looking like
Lately.
on the outside?
It looks like it's up and down a little bit. Like you're like
yo-yo.
that kind of. It's a bit seesawy. You're one's up, one's down. What's
Yeah.
happening?
Yeah.
I
Can't
agree.
seem to get it singing together.
But yeah, it's tricky. I
But
think
it's on the way up, isn't it? I mean,
it's on the way up. I think what kind of hides the fact is the midfield now is so tight.
Yeah.
1/10 swings you so far.
5 or 6 positions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. It's a great part of the show that we're doing, but it does mean that all the details now matter more than ever.
Yeah, you went through that. I watched the chat you did with DC before Monaco.
Yeah.
And you were talking about that. You know, in our day, we could be a second off and still be second on the grid.
That's the dream. Well, let's see next year.
Yeah, well, that would be nice. But
At the front of the grid is a bit like that. It's still between Mercedes.
Bit of a Noah's Ark. Ferrari.
The pole positions are tight, but then you can afford maybe to be 2-3 tenths off and still be P5.
That's very true.
P4.
That's very
In
true.
the midfield,
But you're knocking on the door now a little bit.
We are.
I mean, you've obviously got the huge regulation change coming next year, but for the moment, the trajectory is up, isn't it? With the
Definitely. I think if you would have told us last year that in some races, well, we would be first of all 15 in the championship by now,
Yeah.
and in that in a few races we would have been fighting Mercedes and Ferrari like we did in Miami and Imola,
Yeah.
we would have taken it. Progress has been big, and I think we're both very encouraged by that. But now it's a matter of, now that we have a more competitive car, also know how to use it and get the points when we have the competitive car, which, especially on my side of the garage this year, whenever we've been there fighting for top 5s, top 6s, we had some issues that we want to address.
and certain tracks suit your car. It's
Precisely.
almost like if you've got a long corner in there, like Spain.
Yes.
You don't like that?
You don't like that.
No.
Which is interesting. Which is actually partly why we're hoping for a good weekend at Silverstone.
Yeah.
Because it looks like a big track, but actually a lot of the corners are quite short.
You're threading, aren't you? And
Exactly.
it's quite good at high speed.
It is.
Low.
We have good load. Our balance in high speeds improved a lot since last year. That's actually where I think we made the biggest difference.
Yeah.
We're very efficient down the straights, typical Williams straight.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think most importantly for us is the weekends that we know we have a competitive car. Example, Imola, Miami, Canada should have been a good
Yeah.
weekend to get points.
Yes.
Just make sure we get all the
Yeah.
points that we can.
Yeah.
Because then there's going to be tracks like the Barcelonas that we know we're going to struggle a bit. So I think the key of our season and getting that P5 in the constructors is going to be executing a bit better the weekends that we know we have a competitive car.
I think James Vowles has now signed up. He's
That's
confirmed.
very good. That's
JB,
good. Locked him
JB
in.
for the future.
Yeah, he seemed happy enough. I saw his announcement.
Yeah.
I didn't watch all of it, but
Have you seen it? To be honest, yeah, I've seen it.
I should have watched all of it. I only overheard a little bit, but he seems delighted to be nailed on now.
Exactly
So you've
that.
got consistency going forward and all that.
I think that's
Those
good. I
things.
think you see some other teams
Yeah.
and there's not the security. I think that at least at Williams so far we've got the board, James, 2 drivers that are signed for a good amount of time. So we end up, I think, as just a general mindset for the whole team as well. We're in a good place and we've got structure and
Full focus
and focus
on what
yes.
matters in the end.
Good. And it's all gone. We need to talk about the British thing because it is. Alex, you're also British,
Half British, but yes,
British.
let's go with that.
but you understand us,
I definitely do. As I'm meeting my Sky,
and we understand you. And how was the cricket? And
I've actually gone jam first. We were criticising jam first earlier,
okay,
and here I am doing jam
Well, try
first.
it that way. I think you have to try these things and experiment. It's very important to try different.
I would
So
feed
for
this.
Altok, ask me a question that he's going to go to it.
No, go ahead.
It's all Max saying something along the lines of certain circuits have to be included
Yeah.
for him to
Yeah.
keep interested in our sport.
I
You call Silverstone the home of motorsport, no?
Yeah.
And as a Spanish guy, I fully agree. I think when you come to Silverstone, you just feel a bit more of an aura in the Formula One race. I feel like it's a track where we all dream of driving a Formula One car.
Yes.
Feeling the G-forces of a Formula One car.
Yeah.
And ever since I've been a McLaren driver back in 19 and 20, I started to understand a bit better why
Yeah.
it's such a special weekend. Because when you drive for a British team, you feel an extra support from the crowd there. Even then, when I came back for Ferrari and I won as a Ferrari driver, I felt that British crowd still loved me from my McLaren days. And now coming back to Williams, I think we're gonna get that support that I think makes it so special to drive in Silverstone.
Yeah.
You're going to get a lot of love. I mean, you're in a British team. You couldn't get a more British team than Williams, could you?
I'm
Obviously,
actually surprised as well. Like,
Yeah.
after a few tough years at Williams, it's amazing to see so many more people wearing blue
Yeah.
around Silverstone. You really notice that as you drive in.
Yeah.
It's picked up quite a lot, which has been really impressive.
I think wait until this year. I think this year even more, given our
Yeah.
latest results and the momentum that the team is carrying. I think there's more and more people on board with us, with our team, with the project that we have in mind, and the progress that we're showing. And I think we're gonna have a big support this weekend.
Yes.
It's exploded since I was racing. I mean, the interest in the sport. I
Well,
mean, we
well-
thought it was a big sport.
What was your first memory of Silverstone?
Well, I was there since I was a baby. So
Yes.
I would have gone about 1962 or 61. I was born in 1960.
Uh-huh.
You come
Okay,
from-
okay.
my
So
I
dad-
come from a family that's been
Yeah.
racing in Silverstone forever.
Just to put it into context,
Yes.
you were born when I was racing Michael Schumacher in '94, and you were born when I won the championship in '96.
Good year.
So basically, you were just babies then. But I've been going to Silverstone, but as a racing driver, my first race I qualified for was at Silverstone as well. So it actually, it does represent quite a lot of firsts.
But then you have
First
to qualify for them.
Yeah, I think it wasn't pre-qualifying. I think it was actually in the qualifying.
Okay.
Or am I wrong? No, I think we pre-qualified. I think you might be
Wow.
right. The Brabham was. Anyway, I can't remember. It's so long ago. It just slips your mind after a bit. But it's a great, as you say, one of those circuits you can get your teeth into.
Yes.
It's changed a lot, Silverstone, over the years. No, it's evolved a lot.
Yeah.
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 Do you like the new Silverstone?
Well, we used to have Bridge Corner. You never drove that,
No,
did you?
that looked a good
Bridge
corner
Corner,
there.
That was great fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fast right-hander,
Yeah.
fast left.
And the Fast Stowen Club as well.
That's true.
But
That's true. Yeah.
But they had to develop the circuit, so they had to reconfigure the line, the track itself, and so they had to use some of the land inside the circuit, so the track had to
Yes.
change. But it's always retained that high speed.
I think it became a better racing track, but maybe not a better driver's track. With the
But it
change.
happens a lot, no? That a lot of the good drivers track, like Suzuka, we call a driver track the track that the driver enjoys to drive in qualifying. I think.
Yes.
Realistically, those tracks most of the times are not very good for racing.
No, that's very fair.
But I think Silverstone has that mix now of a good driver track, but also a good race
for sure.
track. I think we've seen
Even
great
in the
battles
dry.
there.
I mean,
Even in the
it
dry.
doesn't have to be wet to race well on the circuit.
Yeah.
I think what they've done really well at Silverstone is you can take multiple lines at almost every corner, so you can get the clean air and you can find them pockets and you can stay close, whereas some tracks you go to, they're either too narrow or street tracks where you can't afford to do that.
And since they resurfaced it back in 19, honestly, this new tarmac that they laid down, it's one of the highest grip tarmacs of the season, I think, together with Jeddah. And since then it has set a bit of a new standard of the tarmacs that we like driving at, because there is degradation, but
It's the cricket ghost.
You've got a melting cricket ball there. Hang on.
there is degradation, but there's wear, but there's not a lot of degradation, so you can push quite a lot in the race.
Yeah,
I think this also helps to create some good racing when you follow people.
that's very true.
So where do you think your car's going to be in the mix at Silverstone?
I'm going in fairly confident. I think we'll be some of the best of the rest. We'll be among the top of the midfield.
Together with Aston, no? They seem to make a step.
That's
and I
very
think
true.
now in this kind of trials it'll be difficult to beat, but I think in the fight with Aston to be best of the rest.
I've got a question from someone who has raced in a very different era. I mean, we had a very simple car.
Yeah.
So once we left the pit lane, basically we were left alone.
Yes.
Virtually. He told us when to come in for a pit stop. But now you're bombarded with go fast, go slow, do this, do that. Does that irritate you? Sometimes you get a little bit irritated on the radio.
I think
Bit sassy.
Yeah, but I would say I've always been like that, and I think F1 have very cunningly they select. They don't take the full conversations. They just take the bits where we
You're
speak.
annoyed.
You're always like that. Alex. Always.
But this,
True.
it does confuse me.
I
It's
think
not just
that-
you guys.
No, it's fair.
also
I think that we do
Yeah.
there's a lot going on within the car, and then on top of that, I think the drivers have, in many ways, the best picture. Sorry, they have the best picture of what's going on in how the car's feeling, but the team have the best knowledge of what's going on outside. We're so busy nowadays with, as you say, how can we optimize the tires? How can we optimize fuel in terms of lift and coast and managing all kinds of temperatures? Races like Monaco, for example, two-stop racing, and as you saw, this concertinaing and holding back. At least, I don't know about you, Carlos, but you have no idea what's going on.
Right.
There's a lot of races where you're kind of just you're racing and trying to build the picture, trying to understand the story of what's going on and where your race is at.
And a good racing engineer nowadays doesn't only need to know how to engineer the car, but I think he needs to have almost a bit of a good sports psychology to know how to manage the tension and the pressure of the driver and know probably what's going through his head, to know how to calm him down or speed him up or give him. For me, what is very important is to have very clear indication of the big picture of what he's seeing from the pit wall, and try to show me the race strategy from the outside so I can help him read the whole picture. And that's what makes our life tougher, that nowadays I think we're not only driving the fastest cars in the history of the sport at the speeds that are incredible, under pressure, under stress, but we're also having to manage all these other things with it, which has made our sport, I think, not only more physically demanding, but a lot more mentally demanding.
I definitely think it's got to be more mentally demanding. I mean, you guys are almost, qualified airline pilots and fighter pilots, and you've got to take on board so much information. I don't know if I would have coped very well.
But I think it's
less
maybe less physical than when you drove. I don't think physicality is.
We were 10
quite
seconds
as-
laps slower than you guys.
Yes.
Even in qualifying. So that's the G-loads you've experienced this year.
I think it's like
far
everything, you get
greater.
used to it. I think if you train and you do as many laps as we do nowadays in F1, with so many weekends, your body gets used to that speed, that G-force. I think the mental factor, like for me on Mondays, I'm mentally tired. I'm really, not only because of Sunday, but the whole build-up of the weekend, how demanded we are with media, with press, how many engineering meetings we have, strategy meetings, debriefs. Like, it makes the weekend actually very mentally demanding, and on Mondays, for me, I need to recover this rather than physically.
Fried on a Monday, mentally.
Bit of a golf, nice golf.
Yeah, you
That's just your excuse to play
So-
golf. Damon, you're a keen golfer.
I am a king, but he's better than I am. Definitely
Really?
by a long shot. Yeah.
What's your handicap?
I'm 13, but listen, I'm
That's
not here to
okay.
talk about my golf.
That's good.
He's good. He's very good. Very solid.
But I play your dad. And we have a rival match every Abu
In Abu
Dhabi.
Dhabi, no?
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's very competitive, as you know.
Well, I think the Sainz family has a competitive thing.
Oh my God,
We
yeah.
hate losing at it. Well,
You do.
It's like you guys. In
Yeah. But anyway, you're good at winning too.
Well, Damon, you have a new film
Yeah.
coming out. I thought firstly we should watch a trailer. Have we got the trailer? This is all very exciting.
Okay.
It's out actually the day this is being published.
Yeah. My whole life, people had been asking me if I was going to be a racing driver like my dad.
Graham Hill, one of motor racing's greatest characters.
And there I was, within a point of winning the world championship.
Nice footage.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It's a long road. And it started the day my dad died.
The crash wiped out the Hill racing team.
Damon was joking and mucking about, but he was one of the saddest people I'd ever come across in my life.
I had no job and we were about to have a baby.
He said, I'm going to race in Formula One and I'm going to become a world champion.
I was given a golden opportunity from Williams. Prost, Senna, Schumacher. I had a bit of a steep hill to climb. I didn't care
What was
about
that?
the doubts of others. I wanted to win.
It was a strange spin.
But I didn't want to be pushed into the limelight. And then it was hell. The last funeral I'd been to was my dad's. Was I a racing driver just because my dad was one? I needed to let go of the past. Aware of the journey we've been on, and what I've been able to drag out of myself.
Damon Hill wins! And I've got to stop because I've got a lump in my throat.
Wow.
This looks incredible.
Yeah, amazing.
I think you'll like it. I mean,
How long was that?
good quote in there about Williams gave me the opportunity of
Yes.
lifetime, so that's how important Williams were to
No,
me.
it's amazing. So I have the same story in many ways. You're giving me a second chance.
Yeah, exactly. So
Now I'm curious to know more about your story.
Well,
There you
I'm
go.
glad. That's the point of the trailer.
This is-
So it's done its job. Yeah, there's probably a lot in there. But anyway, it's interesting watching the story told about your career, especially years after you
Yes.
stopped racing, because I'd forgotten most
Yeah,
of it. I mean,
sure.
literally, people ask you. I know you know people ask you about races that happen. You do say, how many races have you done now? Well,
Yeah.
I mean, so you
Oh,
tend to forget about everything. You're just about what's happening now.
Yeah, amazing.
You have highlights in your brain, but you don't go race by race remembering everything.
Yeah,
No.
you're looking forward the whole time.
Yeah.
But so they've done a great job of that. So that's one for the fans if you're interested.
Was it enjoyable going through that
Well,
experience, going through the
yeah,
footage?
I mean, it was. Some of it wasn't so enjoyable
Sure.
because I'm talking about stuff that was quite emotionally stressful, and but it really helps to tell the story. I think
Yeah.
because when we look at now with Netflix and everything, they go into people's dramas, don't they?
Yeah.
They go into the thing that happens
The
behind
deep,
people.
the deep story. no?
Yeah, and so we're all motivated, but we're not all motivated by exactly the same thing.
Yes.
There's other things that motivate us, and there's certain things which are much more powerful motivating factors
Yeah.
than others, than just wanting to be a racing driver or wanting to win, say, for
Yes.
instance. So, yeah, I mean, we all have our own particular mission. Formula One now, the explosion of interest now is massive. So your demand on your time, obviously you're super famous everywhere you go, but there's also a pressure with that as well. At least I could go to Spain when I was racing and no one knew who I was.
Yeah.
Uh,
Is that true?
Yeah, but that's before Fernando Alonso.
Okay.
So, in Spain, they didn't follow Formula One until Fernando came.
Really?
You went to Jerez, no? I guess at the time, no?
Yeah, but there was no, as I said, there was no real Formula. We raced there, but nobody really came. They wouldn't have motorbikes, as you know. In Spain.
Now, for example, we go to New York, and New York,
Yeah.
it's a city too international, like maybe for F1. But no, we are actually there, and everyone knows F1. So
Yeah.
That's very true.
And then Brad Pitt and co. And
like we were all like,
yeah.
wait a minute, we're not that important. Why is there so many people here? Like,
That's very true.
Yeah, I do wonder how someone like Ayrton and say the Lauders and people like that would cope with the sport as it is today, with the let's say the intrusion or the interest and getting drivers to kind of perform doing stunts and so forth. I'm not sure James Hunt would have done.
No, maybe James would have loved it or not.
Maybe he would have. Probably James would have loved it.
Different times, we'll never know, but it's interesting to think about it.
Well, anyway, thanks for showing the trailer.
No worries. Okay, we're going to roll quickly to a one fan question submitted by the fans. I can pretty much choose whatever I want since I have the list here. Actually, you have them too, Damien.
Yeah.
Why don't you pick?
What's something you wish fans would be more interested in when it comes to F1? What's something you wish fans would be more interested in? I mean,
More interested. I feel like fans are pretty interested in our sport.
Don't you think they're interested in what sort of what's your
What we
favourite?
wear.
You know what I would
food
like them
and stuff?
to understand a bit more. How much preparation goes into, like, imagine showing live an engineering briefing like before, and help them understand how much focus from so many people, how many things need to go right for that race to go right.
Yeah.
To everyone nail the, like, we're never gonna disclose team meetings because that's where you actually can make a bit of a difference to your competition. But you would almost like to show to the fans at home, come and join us for one full engineering briefing to know what we talk about, what we try and control, what we cannot control, and so many people there focus.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
I think also strategy, because I think that when I'm watching a race, some people say, "Oh, it's a boring race." It's not a boring race.
No.
If you can see the ebb and flow of the strategy, and you can see the consequences of someone trying to even just gain a second so they can get a
safety car window.
And all those things they're quite complicated things to understand. So then maybe there's a better way of explaining it to the fans. But when I worked with Sky, that was always the ambition, was to try and explain that to the fan, to keep the tension can be there, even though there's lots of loops.
Yeah, that's a fair point. That's a fair point.
But right, another question: if you could use only one animal as your mode of transport
There we go.
for the rest of your life, what would it be and why?
Transport, the fastest animal.
It says the mode of transport for the rest of your
Think
life.
about it. Like an eagle.
Yeah, bird for sure.
Yeah.
Gotta be a bird, isn't it? You wouldn't want a giraffe or something like
No.
that. Or
PJ.
What's the fastest
PJ
bird?
eagle.
I mean, you
There's
could have a dolphin, but you've got to be
nice.
you've got to be in the sea the whole time. It wouldn't be.
Stu.
I've never thought about it.
No.
Pass on that
Well,
one.
let's face it. An animal is not really a mode of transport unless it's a horse. Normally, is there something you've done on track that you consider brilliant but feel people don't talk about it enough? No
feeding the
modesty.
ego.
No modesty.
Exactly. No.
Yes, there
Everything
Come on,
I've done
I bet you've done
has
stuff. and you've
already
gone,
been
that was
done.
brilliant. I wish people could have seen that.
There's just some
Really. There's
a
just
few
some-
saves, no, that you say.
I
You
think
cannot imagine how close I was to crashing, but somehow the stars aligned for me to save it in that moment and not crash.
Yeah. For me, I think what happens a lot is when you're in the midfield team, I see this a lot with, like, you can execute everything. The whole weekend, you're qualifying your race perfectly. You finish.
11.
Not even. I finished P16 in 2022 and thought I did a really solid weekend. And no one knows, no one's gonna rate it. I just know it for myself.
Similarly, I used to win a race and then go, that was a brilliant race, and you go, you know what, that was really boring, but I'll take it. But anyway, it's been great chatting.
Yes, thank you,
Is
Damon.
it your job to wind this up? You know what an over is, don't you?
I do. I mean, that's our summary. I hope, Damon, you go and watch his film. It looks fantastic.
It looks really good.
It does.
It
It
does
does.
look good.
It does seem like a really
It's-
good behind the scenes.
It's a great
At least
story.
the trailer is a very, very
They've
good
made a
trailer.
great film out of it. I say it's a weepy with a happy ending.
And where is it
So
coming
bring
out?
a tissue.
Yeah, where can we watch it?
It comes out just before the British Grand Prix.
Okay.
Amazing.
About time this does.
On what? On-
Sky in the UK on Sky Documentaries,
Amazing.
and then it's going to go
Good.
elsewhere.
Okay.
I'll be watching.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, Damon.
Brilliant.
Thank
Good
you.
chatting to you,
Yes.
and all the best for the British Grand Prix.
Thank you very much. Thank
Time
you.
to have more scones.
Yeah, more scones.
Thank you.